Hello, Tony. You wanna say hi? Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Today we're doing a Midyear Techo Kaigi, or journaling ecosystem review. It's been a very long time since my last video. It was at the beginning of February. I just didn't have the energy without getting too much into it, but yeah, life was just a bit difficult. I just didn't have energy to make any videos. So I thought like a good way to come back was to like review what I've been using so far, how it's been going, and all that kind of thing, any sort of changes. I use my DN passport as an everyday carry. It's basically my kind of more functional planner, if you will, and I just have a few things in here. So let me just show you. The first thing we have, it's a calendar. It's one of those TN undated calendars that you just take yourself, and I just use it for events, appointments, anything that I might need to reference or remember. Next, we have this little insert that I did myself. I used some pages from my Hobonichi weeks from last year. It was the mega one, so I had a bunch of pages left at the end, and I just ripped them off and turned them into this little insert, which basically has lists and notes that I might need to reference. The next thing I have, it's a vertical insert that I also did myself. I'm planning to show that in a future video, and in case any of you would like to have it. Basically, I just have a bunch of like cheap inserts that I bought a while ago, and I created this template for myself, and I just like printed and resew the insert. So I'll show you in the future how I do it, but basically the way I use it, it's a mixture between like planning and time tracking. So I do some planning first in pencil, and then sometimes in pen, I indicate what I actually did, or sometimes I use like markers for like different things. So like pink is if I've been getting distracted, blue is if I've been doing what I was supposed to be doing, things like that. Some weeks I use it more than others, but it's here and it's very helpful for me. And then lastly, I have just another of these cheap inserts that is just basically scrap paper. It's to make any quick notes if I'm out and about or if I'm in the house and I just need to make a quick note of something. I don't keep these notes. Once the insert is done, I just get rid of it. And that was also partially why I added this one, because there are maybe some notes that I do want to reference during the year, and then this last one I finish it faster. So if I need to reference something, I would need to be like adding it constantly. So it's not helpful. I think in my previous update, I was already experimenting with the vertical weekly, but I hadn't turned it into an insert. I had just printed some stuff from Megan Rhiannon, and I was like testing if it was something that I wanted to continue using, but I definitely did, and I am planning to continue using that. So in terms of my TN passport, there are not really any changes that I'm planning to make going forward. I considered getting like a passport common planner for next year, especially because it has the vertical in there already and all that stuff. But I have two problems with that. One is, like I said, like the days start at like 6 a.m. and then finish at 8, and you only have 1 square per hour, whereas like I like to have like every half an hour, and I never wake up at 6, and I might want to plan something at 9 p.m. So not like work or anything like that, but maybe something for myself. So that's one of the things. The other one is like whenever it's stuff that I'm not really planning to keep. So a lot of the things that I have in here, like this calendar or these notes, even the vertical weekly, I don't really care that much about like keeping once it's done. And this maybe it's just me, but when it's something that like I just want to recycle once I'm done with it, I'm a bit more hesitant to spend more money on it. I know it's silly because obviously it's like if it's something helpful for you, the value of the thing is like while you're using it is not to preserve it, right? But I don't know, in my head it's like, well, if I'm just going to recycle it, I'd rather get something cheaper. I don't know. I know I'm just being silly, but whatever. The other thing is that I've considered moving the vertical weekly out of here, but it's still like TBC. I'll mention it when I talk now about my Hobonichi weeks. But yeah, for now, this is going to stay the same, and I'm very happy with it. Next, I have my Hobonichi weeks. I like to call this my North Star. I've said it many times, but I definitely stole that name from Erin Ware, link her socials and all that stuff as usual. But yeah, basically this is a bit of a hybrid between some journaling and then life planning, goals, things like that. So it's focused more on like the things that I feel like are important to me or are moving like the needle forward, I guess. So the first thing I have is my word of the year, and then we have the year at a glance, where I was tracking kind of like health and mental health related things. I was tracking my period, or if I had any pain, things like if I was feeling like down or even depressed, if I was feeling anxious, those sort of things. The things like I found out that a lot of times maybe I needed to mark more than one thing in a day. I had like some symbols and colors assigned for it. So this wasn't really working, and because the next page is another year at a glance but vertical, I was already using it to track my steps. I decided to create in the back pages basically a spread identical to this other year at a glance, where you get like a little bit more space, and in here I just have a bunch of like symbols and colors assigned to like different things that are important to me. Next we have the calendars. Again, if you're familiar with the Hobonichi weeks, you'll know you get December from the previous year, and then also like, is it 3 months? Yes, 3 months from the next year. So I didn't really need those. So in December for 2025, what I did was a bit of like a vision board, and the plan was to add pictures that I had taken of some of these things when I was doing them. It's not happened yet. I've been doing some of these things, but I'll get to it eventually. Then the way I use my monthlies has not changed at all for a long time now. Basically, I use the days to give each day a title. Sometimes, it's something funny, or sometimes it's a bit more descriptive, or whatever. And then at the bottom, I just have some things that I want to accomplish that month, whether they are related to like a goal, and it's kind of like a milestone, or maybe just something fun that I want to make sure I schedule, whatever it is. So yeah, that's been working well. I've been doing it still, very consistently. Some days I have forgotten to do it, to be honest, or I've just not coming to do it. But, overall, it's working well for me. Then in the extra months that you get from next year, so for 2027, I use them in a couple of different ways. I have this kind of like pocket list here. I've not been doing a lot of the stuff, but these are more things that is like nice to do. It's not like, oh, I have to do them for me. As you can see, there are like a lot of like empty spaces because I've not filled anything yet. Something that I changed is like at the beginning I was planning to use each row for like a month, but yeah, that's just not realistic. I'm not doing all these things every month. I think for next year maybe I'll do it like a bit smaller or something like that, but I do like the idea still. And the other extra calendars, I use them for my quarterly planning. So I basically indicate the main focus for that quarter, and like each of the squares, it's like a week, and some of the milestones that I want to be achieving that week. At the moment it's a lot focused on like a project management course that I've been doing for ages, but I'm just going slowly with it. And then also I've started to go back to the gym now, so I've included some stuff around that. For the weekly view, I've been using it in the same way for a long time now. I basically have on the left side, I do a small like recap of the day. Some days I don't do it, like you can see here, and I just put a sticker or something like that. But in general, it's been working very well for me, and I'm quite consistent with it. And then on the right side, what I have usually it's 3-4 things that I want to focus that week on. Sometimes I include like a little meal plan for the things that I want to cook. I usually have like this, well, I always have this have like habit tracker or like actions that I'm trying to do tracker. And then I didn't do it in this one. I normally have like a highs and lows or highlights and struggles. I've not been using that consistently recently. Like I've noticed that like I didn't do it last week, for example. I didn't write much the one before. I did use it a bit more, so yeah, that's something that maybe I might change. But in general, very consistent, and it's been working really well for me, and it kind of like keeps me on track with the things that are important for me. Then one thing that I've stopped using, it's the 365 at the end. I was using it to basically mark every day that I was taking some action towards my goals. But yeah, I've just stopped doing it. I could go back and do it, but I don't know. It just didn't feel that important. And now in the back pages, I have a few different things. I like to have like a recap of my month very briefly, and then of the quarter. Ideally, I would be doing this at the end of each month, but as you can see, April is not done, and we are mid-June now, but whatever. And I just left like a bunch of pages here to, do those for the rest of the year. And then I just, use these for like, I guess if you're familiar with bullet journaling, similar to like the collections from there. So I, for example, like this visual wish list, I definitely have, more things in my wish list, but these are some of them. I have something to track the progress in the course that I'm doing, an ideas page, which I'm not using, purchases. I think there are a few things that need to be added. Some like ink samples that I got, ranking different Indian takeaways. I already showed this. Then I rewatched Dexter, and I was thinking like, I could add like a little recap of each season, because I didn't remember a lot of what happened in a lot of the seasons. But then I just realized I was taking a lot of space, and I would rather have this in my long form journal. And I didn't even do the 2 last seasons because I couldn't be bothered. But whatever, it's there. And the last thing that I added, it's this tracker for my, going back to the gym thing. I'm doing a program, and so just to like give me a little bit of like an incentive. So I have some stickers that are gym themed, and each week when I complete the program, I put it there, and I did a little drawing of myself. And the last thing I have here, it's also related to my kind of like working out program that I'm doing at the moment. The app is called Bits, I think, and like the program is called Wiggle Your Bits. I don't know, I can link it below if anyone is interested. But basically, at the end of each session, it tells you a random animal and how many of them you've lifted. And so I've decided to leave these 2 pages. I've done more sessions, but I've just not got around to print them. So yeah, it's been working really well. That's kind of like the way I use my weeks. I have some like reference list here. I don't really use it as like my 100. And then here I'm tracking new recipes that I've done, books that I've read, and then kind of like series and movies and stuff like that. I feel like I've watched some other stuff and it's not in here, but maybe I haven't. And that's all for my weeks. I won't go into as much detail with others. I just feel like there are a lot of different things in the way I use this one. So that's why I like to go into a bit more in depth. But in terms of moving forward, I really love the weeks. It really works. It works really well for me. Now, one thing I want to add into my system, it's a 5-year journal. And I think like what I do on the left side, like the recap of the day, it would be redundant and I would either abandon one or the other. I'm planning to start the 5-year journal in July on my birthday, which is the 21st, because I turned 35 and I thought, well, it would be cool to have like the 5 last years of my 30s in there. So yeah, I need to consider what am I going to be doing with, this side. Something that I've thought about is using it more as like a bit of memory keeping. So maybe just write a little bit about the week and put a picture of the week and something like that. I might do that. And the other option, which I don't think I will do this year, but that's one of the things I was considering for next year, was to use this as like time tracking, but having it horizontal. So you can put the hours at the top and then kind of like having it like that. Something that has been tempting me, not so much for this year, but for next year, is combining my Hobonichi weeks with my long form journal. And I was thinking I could get an Sterling Ink Common Planner in the A6 version. But I'm not sure. I'm probably gonna be using a Hobonichi Weeks again, because let's be honest, Hobonichi will put out some really lovely design that I'll be like, oh, I have to have it, and then I'll just go back to the Hobonichi Weeks. But we'll see. Maybe if I'm still tempted at the end of the year to just like having it all together in one book, I might do that. For the rest of the year, I'm still going to be using this. The only thing that will change, it's probably when I incorporate the 5-year journal, how I use the left side of the page, but we'll see. Next thing I have, it's my memory keeper, which I completely abandoned. The idea was to do something similar to what I was doing last year in the Hobonichi Cousin. Like I just mentioned, I was doing this kind of like, weekly recaps with like, some pictures and drawings and stuff like that. And I wanted to do something like that in this notebook. But I didn't even do week 1. I put some pictures of week 1, and then I came back to write on February saying that I was abandoning this notebook because I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't making the time for it. Now obviously this is just a plain notebook, so it's not gonna go to waste. I'm planning to use it for long form journaling, at some point. But yeah, this is one of the things that like I've just abandoned basically. If you watch my previous Techo Kaigi, you will have seen that my plan for this year was not to buy, a specific notebook. It was just using the notebooks that I already had for my long form journal. So the first thing I used was this, TN insert with a thin paper, which I finished in February. I have like a few pages at the end left, but I didn't want to start a new month when I had like 3 pages. And I really enjoyed it. Sometimes I felt like, I was doing a bit more like, decorating or turning the page or things like that. But a lot of time I felt like I was just more compelled to just like write like this. I enjoyed the format. Maybe I find it a bit more difficult to like, compose the page or something like that than in an A5 or an A6. But to be honest, like it didn't bother me. I enjoyed it. The only thing I did notice, and I think I mentioned this in my last update, is that for long form journaling, I prefer a thicker notebook. I've just realized that I like the inserts for things that are more like specific, or like, let's say like a Commonplace or a book that you want to do for like, I don't know, at some point I was considering doing one about like hiking routes, something that is more like a particular project of something that you have in mind, I guess. So when I finished my TN insert, I started this Hobonichi Techo Avec. This is from 2025, so I bought it last year. It was intended to be used as a journal of joy, but didn't quite work out for me. I removed the months because I did use that last year, and then I'm not using the vertical monthlies year at a glance thing for anything. And there are a lot of like pages that I don't really want to show, but basically I'm just ignoring the dates and just journaling as I go. Putting the dates myself. Let me just find some pages that I know. So I just put the dates and decorate and like that kind of thing, and I just put whatever in here, whatever I feel like. So sometimes I put this was inspiration for like spring outfits, then just write about my days, whatever it is. I might do a flip through in the future of this one, but I just need to check which pages I'm comfortable sharing on the internet and which ones I'm not. And once I'm done with the Avec, I'm not quite sure which notebook I'm going to use, because obviously this is not going to last me the whole year. So I think I might finish it around August. Depends how much I journal. I have like a few different options. I could use this notebook, which is beautiful and I would love to use. The only thing is like this would then go into 2027 because there are quite a few pages, unless I only use one side of the sheet of paper, which I have considered because it feels more comfortable to write here than here. So I don't know, I might do. Because I would love to use this notebook this year. But if not, I might just use it next year. I have a couple of other notebooks that I have this empty paper notebook. Again, like some pages missing because I used them for something else. So I was counting the other day and there are 110 pages left. And then I have this Sakaguchi, which again, like looking much thinner than the usual 365 Sakaguchi, which is what this was, because I used it for other stuff. But I have 176 pages in here. So yeah, it'll just all depend on like when I finish this notebook and where we are in the year. Because I would love to use a notebook that I can finish in 2026 and start a fresh one in 2027, but we will see. And again, like the other thing that I'm considering is like combining these two in a common planner. Might not happen, but I don't know. I've been tempted by it recently. I don't know why. Now the last thing, it's the journals that I don't use as frequently. So I use the other ones almost daily. I definitely use the TN Passport and the Hobonichi Weeks daily, and then my long form journal is kind of like daily-ish. It's like I don't, especially when I wasn't having that much energy or feeling that well, I wasn't using it as much. But now I'm kind of like getting back into a routine of like writing almost every day. I don't force myself, basically. If I don't feel like it, I don't do it. But here I have, so three things basically. I have my healing journal. This is for more kind of like trauma or like mental health stuff, but that feels really heavy. So it's things that I don't want to be flipping through in my regular journal. I don't shy away from like, talking about negative things, I guess, in my long form journal. That's why there are some pages that I don't want to share. But these are things that just feel too heavy and I don't want to flip through while I'm in my journal, because maybe just seeing them would make me feel upset. Then in my TN cover, well, it's not like official traveler's company. It's from a brand called Peak. I have this Muji notebook. I used to have it outside of the TN, but I felt like I could put it in there. This is my Gremlin journal. It's basically, I have a sticker saying cute and angry. This is just for rants when I'm feeling very angry and I just need to like really like write really big, and like I'm not going to show you, but you can just see that like the text is much bigger than my usual, writing. I'm not planning to keep this journal. I think I'll probably just like burn it or something like that when I'm done with it. But I feel like it's useful to do this in a notebook rather than just like a piece of paper, because I don't know, I feel like there are some recurring themes that I might get angry about, and then if you just do it in a piece of paper, maybe you're not as aware of like those recurring themes. So that's why I like to have it in here. But yeah, you could very much do it in a scrap of paper and then just get rid of it. I'm not planning to keep those. This is more when I'm like feeling in a really like angry emotionally state. So similar thing, like I might talk in my long form journal about something that has been bothering me, but I talk about it in a different way. Like here is like when I'm feeling all the anger and I just, I might even like destroy the page a bit because I'm writing with so much pressure. Here it's more in my long form journal, it's a bit more reflective. It's a bit more like, okay, why was I feeling angry? And like, it's a bit after the fact, I guess. Now, the last thing I have is my Commonplace. I don't use this very much at all. I just check, and the last entry is from February. I also have like a digital Commonplace in Notion, which I'll give you a tour and show you how I use it at some point. But yeah, I don't know, maybe at some point I'll reconsider whether I even need a Commonplace. But for now, I like to have it. It's here if I need it for something. It's there. I want to research some like hikes, and I want to learn a little bit more about gardening, so that's some stuff that I might put in here, but we'll see. Now the last thing, and my cat has decided to come and join us. Hello, Donnie. Say hi to the camera. But I bought these two notepads from Muji. I don't really consider them part of my journaling ecosystem. These are just like scrap paper, but that I have on hand for when I need to think and write random notes. And here you can see some of the notes that I made for this video today. And here I was like, you know, thinking about like my 2027 system. Not that I was like, you know, set in stone about what I'm going to do, but sometimes I think about it and it feels nice to have like a big space. So this is a B5, so it's basically bigger than an A5 but smaller than an A4, kind of closer to an A4, and this is closer to an A3, but not quite as big, I guess. But yeah, I just find it useful to have them whenever I need to think about something and I need to have a space, basically to just, you know, put arrows and write big and whatever it is. Let me know how your journaling has been going. Have you changed a lot since the beginning of the year? Thank you so much if you've watched the whole thing, and hopefully my next video won't be in another 4 months. Bye!